The 49ers just completed their 2024 NFL draft. Let's just say they got faster, they got stronger, and they got meaner. We're going to break down all 8 of the NFL draft prospects for the 49ers right here on the WayneBreezie Show.
So bright that we shine. All we know is the Niners. Ready to go at its finest. So faithful to the bay. I be sipping gold bar whiskey on the rocks and a 24-karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping nonstop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop. We be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 4-9 preacher. We so bright that we shining.
What's going on, 49er faithful? Make some noise. We are back. The 49ers 2024 season, to me, has officially kicked off. Shout out to everybody out there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the live WayneBreezie Show. Woo! I'm excited, man. The Niners got 8 new pieces. They got several undrafted free agents that I can't wait to break down as well. I thought the 49ers did pretty well in the draft. I'm going to post a poll question. You guys get to grade it. I'll do grading on another day. Probably on Wednesday we'll do some grades. But I want to just kind of look at some of the players that they broke down on today's episode, man, and just see kind of like what the 49ers did and kind of like what their mindset is going into the 2024 season as well as 2025. I truly believe that the 49ers have drafted for the future, mainly opposed to right now. I think right now their team is pretty set. They look at the running back, baby. They look at the running back. So let's bring that foghorn back. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you are new to the WayneBreezie channel, man. Listen, we got everything going on here, man. Basketball playoffs are heating up. We got some basketball stuff going on as well. But make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to that channel if you're new. And if you really love what you see, man, feel free to join the channel. Become a member of the Breezy Bunch crew. We got the livest community chat popping right now. If you want to be a part of that and you want your name highlighted on the show, make sure you go ahead and join that crew. Don't forget to subscribe as well to all my listeners out there that's listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify podcast, all the other podcast streaming sites. Thank you so much for being listeners. I hope you guys are enjoying what you do. I never really get to get feedback from you, so make sure you guys leave a review. Reviews will be your feedback I can go and listen to. You guys can tell me what it is, but shout out to those that are listening during this live show. I truly appreciate it. Feel free to follow on X as well. Subscribe to @TheWayneBreezie, as well as on Instagram @TheWayneBreezie, TikTok, and Facebook. It's all the same. And I tell you what, I'm gonna break these players down, detailed breaking them down right here on the Patreon. So the Patreon, again, there'll be 2 tiers starting in the month of May that you're going to want to subscribe to if you want the exclusive content. You do not have to do it. You are not obligated to do it, but I would appreciate if you did. All right. So I'm going to be breaking down every draft player, every undrafted guy, and the players that have been invited to the 49ers rookie minicamp. You're going to get all that exclusively right there on the Patreon, www.patreon.com/TheWayneBreezie. And shout out to everybody that's also watching on Twitch. Feel free to follow and subscribe on there, www.twitch.tv/TheWayneBreezie. We're going to have some new stuff up on the website. That's www.twben.com. So make sure you check it out. All right, let's get to this show. Before we do that, I do got to give a huge shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. We got some messages that we're going to read right away. So thank you to the Breezy Bunch crew members. I see you guys out there. I see all the hellos. I just want to say this. Thank you so much for supporting the stream 3 days in a row. You guys deserve a round of applause for that. Woo. What a bid. That was a bid. Shout out to the Nothing But Niners crew. Shout out to Mariah. Shout out to 49ers Hive. Shout out to everybody that participated. If I didn't mention your name, my apologies. My short-term memory and long-term memory is gone. But if I didn't mention your name, shout out to you as well. And to all the 49er content creators out there, keep doing what you're doing, man. You guys are the real MVPs. And let's keep doing this, man. There's no reason to fight amongst each other. We all, squirrels trying to get a nut. Pause. So let's go ahead out there and let's support each other, man. And let's continue to build 49ers success. We have the best community out there as far as coverage, as far as content. There's no other team doing it like the San Francisco 49ers. So if you're the 49ers, man, show these content creators some love. They go out of their way and they put out great content about your team, about your organization. So shout out to everybody out there. One more round of applause. Peachy's in the building. She's been a member for 16 months. Peachy, what's going on? She says, let's show Breezy some extra love for all his hard working dedication towards this draft and also for nailing picks. The 49ers, such as running back Isaac Garendo. Yeah, man, this is my guy. Like, this is definitely my dude. I'm so happy he's here. Love the phone interview with him, John Lynch, as well. And Bobby Turner, and I just can't wait to see him get into a 49er uniform and just be the ball and light, like thunder and lightning. Like, I feel like he's gonna be both of them wrapped up in one, but we'll break that down. Shout out to my brother Nigel for gifting a member. So we have a new member here on the channel. I just want to make sure I get him out. Mean Morris. I hope I said that right. Welcome to the membership. Truly appreciate you as well. And my brother JP Hella Hard, been a member for 9 months. What's going on, baby? He says, so we're going to try to outscore teams this year with the same old line from last year and the defense taking a step back with new defensive coordinator. Make it make sense, G. Please, also, how many starters from this draft? So I tell you what, that's a good question. We're going to break down some of these starters. Guys who I feel like may start from this particular roster. I don't think that the 49ers are all right. So it's going to be tough to break this starting lineup because the 49ers are literally bringing back the starting lineup. And you know what, JP Hella Hard, you make some interesting questions out there. And, you know, the Niners didn't see the value in addressing the offensive line like many of us did. And they decided to address the offensive line, but they didn't see the value in doing it early and gathering, some of those top dogs in the offense from the offensive line prospects that we kind of been going through for the past several months, right? Like really starting in February at that Senior Bowl and kind of like, or January at the February Senior Bowl and kind of like breaking those players down. So, hey, if you feel like they didn't really improve on the offensive line, that's cool. But you know what my job is? My job is to find the strengths and weaknesses of the guys that they do have. We currently know what our offensive line is, how they stand. It's just interesting, right? Because this offensive line that we had last year, you know, we went to the Super Bowl. We didn't win the Super Bowl, but we got to the Super Bowl. And if we let me ask you this hypothetical, because it's a what if question, right? Let me ask you this hypothetical. Had we won the Super Bowl, would you honestly feel the same way about the offensive line? Had we won the Super Bowl? I'm just curious to know. You could say yes, you could say no. You know, I'm just curious to know, would you have felt the same way? And it's important because winning kind of trumps, in my opinion, like the insecurities of players as far as how, like, you know, it hides their mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think that the 49ers look to improve at every position each and every year. But let me remind you how difficult it can be to improve. Number one, you're drafting late in the first round. So you're drafting 30 to 32. You're essentially, I'll say those last 4 picks in that first round, you're essentially drafting early second round players. So you're hoping a player that's ranked high falls, which they typically don't, especially when it comes to offensive line. And so you kind of got to play the game. You know, you kind of playing the game. So the Niners, their starting offensive line is currently what it was. I don't know who's starting at right guard. All right. But here's the starting offensive line. Left tackle, Trent Williams. Left guard, Aaron Banks. Center, Jake Brendel. Right guard is with a question mark. I'm assuming it's going to be John Feliciano, but it could be Spencer Burford, right? And then your right tackle obviously is going to be Colton McKivitz. Now, can we get better at some of those positions? For sure. But what if Colton McKivitz gets better? What if Spencer Burford got better? What if John Brendo comes in and beats out these guys to start? So we just don't know kind of like how the offensive line is going to be. What if Aaron Banks gets better and he has a phenomenal all-pro type of a season, and then next thing you know, this dude, the Niners got to make a crazy tough decision. Do you re-sign him? He's going to be a free agent next year. So the Niners had to figure out how to get talented guys that fit their scheme, that fit their system. Now, was I scratching my head at some of these players in the draft? 1,000%. I thought that the Niners would have went in different directions or got some different players. But hey, I'm not the Niners. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they want. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So my reactions were my reactions, you know. But what's going on to all the Breezy Bunch members out there? I'm just gonna, shout you guys out, and become a member of the crew, man. Trust me, it's definitely cool. Felicia says, "What's up, Breezy and all the 49er faithful? Appreciated all the draft coverage this weekend. Appreciate you as well." First of all, the draft was phenomenal in a sense. The first round pick probably was the only pick that I scratched my head at because of the position. Now, granted, I threw out that scenario before the draft that the Niners could go wide receiver. Check out the B.A.M shows right there, right before the draft. The Niners could go wide receiver, and I gave my reasons why. I said to Mike that we can go with different types of 3 wide receiver sets. That's the 11 personnel. You can come out with some 4 wide receiver sets. And if you like these guys, you can even come out and spread the offense. I don't think I've ever seen a spread offense, but you guys have seen spread because every time Christian McCaffrey rolls out of the backfield, it takes away the run. Now, how the Niners might do that this year, they might put 5 wide receivers out or keep the running back out there and still find a way to spread, motion the running back out of the backfield, spread those guys out, all 5 wides. The Niners are looking to just have to me, the way they drafted was to have, for offense, was to have every possible opportunity for them to be productive. I think that's what I got from this draft. So the reason why I said I was scratching my head at the player, because I thought Slick Rick was going to be more of a slot type of dude, and I just didn't know if you valued the slot, okay? If you valued the slot that early. Didn't like the pick, definitely loved the player. I thought the player was he was one of my top 10 receivers, and I loved the player. I just didn't know you wanted to reach up and grab him. And my stupid self should have known. Because honestly, when you go back to the 2020 draft, I don't even think I had Brandon Ayuk as a top 10 receiver. Okay? But the Niners did, and they went and got him. And so to me, that's what the Niners are doing. They're going out finding specific people with specific, unique sets of skills that could come in here. And when you go back and you look at Ricky Pearsall and you see him, you say, and I was like, oh, snap. This dude is not just a slot. Can he win in the slot? Pretty much all the time. But this dude runs good routes. He runs good fade routes. He runs good post routes. You can throw the ball over his back shoulder. Like, he runs really great routes. And at the end of the day, he's a tough guy. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, at the very beginning, I said the Niners got faster, they got stronger, and they got more mean. And no, he is not Deebo Samuel. No, he's not replacing Deebo Samuel. He's an addition to the San Francisco 49ers offense. He's an extension of what Kyle Shanahan wants from his wide receivers. He's a different type of a weapon. Now, can he do some of the things Deebo does? Absolutely. He's got a couple of end arounds, few for touchdowns out of college, right? That's what you want to see. Another wide receiver that can line up in the backfield. I keep saying that I thought Ricky Pearsall is more of what Ray McCloud was supposed to be to relieve some of the pressure from Deebo Samuel and the wide. He was like a blend between Deebo and Brandon Ayuk, but Ray never really got going in the 49ers offense. He did have that one long touchdown out of the backfield. I remember that. And then last season, he dealt with a bunch of injuries during his contract season. And so what if Ricky Pearsall is replacing that? We still had 2 types of slot guys. You still had Jawan Jennings. Juwan Jennings' production didn't slack off, but he dealt with injuries last year. And people keep forgetting that Juwan Jennings dealt with injuries last year as well. So you just got a healthy wide receiver, and that was the first pick, right? That, to me, that first pick, again, like I said, not mad at the pick. I scratched my head at the pick, but I definitely love the player. And I've loved the player since my draft evaluation. I just didn't think he was the player that the Niners were going after. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Brandon Ayuk and Debo was traded, I wonder if Pearsall would have been still the option at wide receiver. And see, that to me, that might have changed something a little bit differently, the way they drafted the receiver. And I'm just curious, I wonder. So, but at pick 63, the San Francisco 49ers selected Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver from Florida. And you guys know what he did, man. He was a problem in the NFL. And you know what? For those that don't know what Ricky Pearsall did, let's go ahead and I said I'll do some breakdown and stuff like that. So let's just take a look at some of the things, not video. I can't do video here, I'm sorry, but let's take a look at some of the things he did do in college as far as what his statistics show. And you'll see why I say he's a slot guy. It's because kind of like where they lined him up, but that's not where he ended up. And I think when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers, it's not about where you line up. It's kind of like where you end up and kind of like what they're asking you to do. And that's what I got from Ricky Pearsall, man. I thought he did some things that really stood out to me when it came to the San Francisco 49ers. And now I see why he was their pick. You know what I mean? It makes perfect sense. So we'll go ahead and share this and we'll get down to this. Let me go ahead and remove the biggity background. Guys, go ahead and support residencman.com, man. Use that promo code SFBreezy, man, so you can save on your purchase. They got a cool sale going on right now as we spitty deek. All right, so let's blow this up a little bit. Now, when you look at the position is stating that he lined up in the slot. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and target his career. 3 years at Arizona State. Apparently, the Herm Edwards connection. You can tell that the San Francisco 49ers value the opinion from Coach Herman Edwards, right? They value it highly, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think I was speaking to my bro Mike, and I was like, bro, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. If you talked to him and he told you that Brandon Ayuk was going to be a dog, and Brandon Ayuk end up turning out like a dog, why would you not trust his evaluation on his players? This was his player for 3 seasons. And you can see in those 3 seasons, what he produced. 2021, 61 targets, 44 receptions, 72.1 reception rate. He had 515 yards. So you can kind of see, you know what I'm saying, like his production there. He had 4 TDs that year. And then we got to Florida. The offense changed a little bit. His first year in Florida, you can see what it was. 54 targets, 30 receptions, a 55.6 reception rate, 604 yards. But he was averaging 20.1 yards per reception. So that went up. Kind of like his rookie year. That was his first year in Florida. So they were giving him, he was producing. He was getting yak. We're going to look at his yak, too, because I think the Niners got great there. But you go to that last year in Florida, everything went up. His targets went up to 87. His receptions went up to 65. 74.7 reception rate, 963 yards, 14.8 per reception. I'm cool with that. 4 TDs, I'm cool with that. But here's where I do. I scroll on over, right, because I want to see where he lined up. And you see how you see that 705 of these of his total snaps. You know what I'm saying? If you look at his total snaps, 705 of them, okay, were lined up in the slot. And that's basically or predominantly what he was. But look where he also lined up. 486 were outside. And then 6 were in line. So this kid is a baller. He had 835 yak yards. Only 6 drops. So in 5 years of collegiate football, he's only had 6 drops off of 151 receptions. That's ridiculous. This kid is secure with the ball. He has really good hands. He trusts his hands. That's another thing. These are some of the other little factors. This is why Ricky Pearsall was a first-round pick for the San Francisco 49ers. Hands are really good. Hands are really good. That's super important. Look at his catch in traffic. Look at this. 28 of them. Like, this kid is going to be a problem. He only had one fumble, and he recorded 94 first downs. 94 first downs his 5 years in college. For 2 different teams totaled up, he recorded first downs. So, like I said, during the draft day, scratched my head a little bit at the pick. But after that, you got to go home and you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework. You know what I'm saying? Silent Night says, wait, were you not liking the player? He is sold I think you meant solid, but yeah, you did mean solid. He was, it's not about, I didn't like the player. It was just scratching my head. There were other players that I think were available. And I thought that the Niners were going to address that need, like the defensive line. I think if I ranked the top 100 players, if I went through the top 100 players in this draft, depending on whoever you chose to use, like Jerzon Newton and Cooper DeJean was standing right there, and you drafted a guy that was probably ranked maybe 34, maybe 40, 50, 60 in that range, and you missed out on a top 20 player or top 30 player. But for the Niners, he might have been a top 30 player. I'm just saying, or a top 20 player. He wasn't a top 20. He couldn't have been a top 22 player because John Lynch kind of like whatever. But maybe he was a top 22 player. I don't know. And it's crazy because the Niners didn't draft one defensive lineman in this whole draft. Isn't that crazy? One defensive lineman in this whole draft. So that's Ricky Pearsall, man. Like, I think he's going to be an absolute baller. And if you ask me, who's gonna, will he start? It depends. It depends. But I think he will see and I know Kyle Shanahan usually doesn't play his rookies. You know what I mean? But how ironic is that every player that Kyle Shanahan draft are like of a certain age. They're older. They're older, right? And so maybe the maturity of the players is what Kyle Shanahan was looking for. They're a little bit more wiser. They've seen a lot more football. They're more ready to go like week one. You know what I'm saying? Once they get in there because of the maturity, because of their age, so that could be something, something to look at. You know what I mean? Fish and Chip says, yo, Breezy, you have to think like Kyle to explain this draft. Trust me, I'm doing it. I'm doing my best Kyle Shanahan thinking impression. I promise. I promise. You know what I'm saying? Niner Gang says we got older players, longer time spent in college for sure. But again, they're like I said, not every player had the same amount of time. Some players only played 2 years. Some players only played 3 years. The Niners made sure they went for those players that played, I would say on average 4 to 6 years. Like in college, they look for the older players. I wonder how much that pays when it comes to the contract situation too. Like Niners might be also offering to look at like one contract. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just one. Fate says Pearsall's draft grade was 33.5. That's pretty much a first round grade now. That 33.5 from who though? From whom? I'm just curious. Just curious to know. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. I never said it was a reach. I just said I saw top 20 players available that I thought the Niners would go. So I thought the Niners would go best player available in the draft, not best player available that fit whatever they were looking for. So I thought they would have went best player available, and there were some best player availables. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to know though, who's your source from this? Was it like Daniel Jeremiah? Was it PFF? Was it like, what was your source from this? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just wanted to know your source, bro. So feel free to share that when you get a chance. Appreciate you for watching as well. Okay, so the second round pick didn't have me scratching my head because I said that the Niners needed to go offensive line, cornerback, or I thought a defensive line, right? So it was either offensive line, cornerback, or defensive line. And their second round pick in the draft was DB Renardo Green. Now, out of Florida State, when I was doing my evaluating, My stupid self was focusing on Jerry Jones because I just felt like the 49ers had their outside guys and they really needed to focus on getting one of those slot monsters. But what the 49ers do is they go with the outside guys and they find the versatility to where they can play. They have played in the slot. I'm so silly, and I overlooked Renardo Green a couple of times. I might have mocked him in one mock draft, but I've overlooked him plenty of times. But the versatility is not even what the Niners were looking for out of their DBs. They went for DBs that can do two things: one tackle and one can defend the pass. And they weren't looking for high interception rates. They weren't looking for any of that. They were looking for players that can defend the freaking pass. I mean, PBU. We can start our own PBU nation or university or whatever it is you want to call it. But when you look up Renardo Green, yes, he's versatile. Okay, so let's just keep it a buck. He's versatile. Florida State, 6 feet, 186. All right, he's fast too. All right, that's another thing. So the speed was there, 4.4 guy. All right, but he's versatile. All right, 1,729 snaps. That's how many snaps he played in college. All right, he was there for 5 years. All right, but here's what you get from him. He got 4 total pressures. He got a sack. He got a hit. He got 2 hurries. Okay, all right, but look at the tackles. All right, 120 solo tackles, 19 assisted. He only had 18 missed tackles out of his 39 total tackles. He had 41 stops, a forced fumble. If y'all don't highlight these goddamn tackles, I don't know how many missed tackles. I think we averaged last season from the DBs not being able to make tackles as well. But I think we averaged at least 8 missed tackles a game. That is ridiculous. I don't have the stat, but I'm going to look that up. But I guarantee you we averaged like 8. We had some games where we had like 4. But then we had games where we had like 14, 15, double-digit missed tackles. But that's key, man. First of all, he's getting into the backfield. He has a forced fumble on top of that. And then when you scroll on over, you can see where his versatility came in. But if you want to know why he was picked or drafted in the second round, oh, Jesus, it's because of these PBUs. And in 2023, he had 9 of them Johns. His best year as a defensive back for Florida State, because he gave up 3 TDs, but he had an interception. All right. And he had 9 PBUs. And the fact that you can utilize him up on the line, you can utilize him in the box, he can play free safety. Here's the versatility where it comes in. And he can line up as nickel is huge, right? It's huge. He's an outside guy. And the Niners have been drafting their cornerbacks this way for years. Like, I go back up to the height, 6 feet, 6'1", 5'11" to 6'1". You rarely would see a 6'2", 6'3". That's rare. But 5'11", I would say, to 6'1" is what the Niners like in their corners. That weight is usually about 180, I would say, to like maybe 205. You know what I mean? Like a 205 kind of area. So was I scratching my head at this pick? Nope. Not scratching my head at the pick. But again, available. I thought they would go offensive line because I thought there were still offensive line players that fit the 49ers. I think what ended up happening is their offensive lineman got snagged and they went for their first best corner that was available. And there's nothing wrong with that because they got the player that they wanted that fit their system and fit their system well. So in my opinion, the Niners, they got a solid cornerback to me in this draft, a super solid cornerback in this draft. So Renardo Green is going to be a problem. Again, he's 4.4 speed, so they got faster. They got stronger, meaning they got more physical with their cornerbacks. This is a press man corner. I'm talking about he's looking to get up on that line of scrimmage and jam you. He's not trying to allow these wide receivers to get open. Isn't he? Didn't he shut down Malik Neighbors as well as Brian Thomas week 1 in that LSU game? I don't know. I'm looking at the stats right now. I should be able to tell right now. I mean, damn, they're right here, right? He played 58 snaps. Did they even throw to him? Let's see. Let's scroll back up. All right, in that game, he was targeted 6 times. He gave up 3 receptions, so 50% reception rate. But look at that, only 28 yards, and 10 of them yards came from Yak. He had a PBU and an interception in that game, but he didn't give up no tutties. With those dynamic receivers, I would say if you look at their schedule, those were the most dynamic receivers that they played all season. So, yes, you stick around to that game. If you go to that Week 13 game against Florida, I mean, you got to deal with Ricky Pearsall, right? Like, and so if you look at his stats in that game, in Florida game, he had 2 stops. He was targeted. He gave up both of his receptions in that game, but they were only for 15 yards. And one of them was a pass that was probably underneath for 5 yards of Yak, okay? And they didn't score again. So he's not only is he a PBU guy, it just seems like he's keeping players, wide receivers, from scoring. I personally think Renardo Green is going to be a gem. I'm not going to say he's the steal of the draft. He's going to be a gem. All right. He's going to be a freaking gem for the San Francisco 49ers. And again, why did they draft a cornerback? Well, let's see. You got Diamador Lenore, Charvarius Mooney-Ward, Ambry Thomas. Those are your 3 guys you got on this roster that start, and they're going to be free agents in 2025 at your cornerbacks. And I didn't even talk about like the guys that they brought in, like Isaac Yadam. He's going to be a free agent. Rocky Sin is going to be a free agent. So these guys will be free agents as well. So the Niners may be looking a little thin at the cornerback positions because remember, the Niners don't own their rights. The Niners don't own any of their rights. These guys aren't restricted. They're unrestricted. They can go out and seek deals, and it doesn't mean that the Niners will be able to bring these guys back. I think I read a report that the Niners were looking to find a way to extend Mooney Ward and Diamador Lenore. We'll see what happens. My bro Collie says that Ambry Thomas is done. I just don't see, and hear me out, I don't see how he makes this roster. Love the dude, love the player, but it's going to be hard. And what's going on, Corey? It's going to be hard, and pause, to make the roster because the Niners did one thing. They brought in dogs. And I don't know if Ambry Thomas is a dog. You get what I'm saying? And it is what it is. His playing style doesn't seem to fit the San Francisco 49ers. He can't seem to shake off giving up a play. Like, when you're a cornerback out there, you play every play like it's the last play. If you give up a touchdown, you scratch that joint up and you don't give up the next one. If you give up a first down, you scrap that joint out and you don't give up the next one. So when you're a cornerback, you gotta live with that type of mentality, or you will get chewed up, and that's what happened to Ambry Thomas. So I'm not saying he doesn't come out with a fire lit under his ass this season, because look who they just drafted. They drafted a dog. Diamador Lenore, dog. Charvarius Mooney-Ward, a highly sought out free agent, dog. I think Darrell Luter Jr., who they drafted last year, dog. Will Samuel Womack III be a dog? I don't know. I don't know if he fits either. But he had a knack for the football. He always found a way to make a play on the football. So, like I said, they also brought in some free agents. It's going to be a war room for those cornerbacks. And unfortunately, I just don't see my boy Ambry, making it, man. But, whatever. 1 year left on his contract. We'll see what happens. They didn't trade any of those players. The Niners, they didn't try to trade any of those players that were on their way out. They kept them on the roster. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see exactly what happens when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers DB. But I love the Renardo Green pick. I think that was spot on. So, again, in the 3rd round, they decide to go with offensive tackle. That's what he's listed as. Dominic Purdy. All right, offensive tackle from Kansas. Now, what I love about this particular player the most is his meanness, right? And so you could love his agility, you could love his footwork, you could love everything you want to love about him, but it's the meanness for me. Like, the dude's going to play with a mean streak. and he has relatively, like, I wouldn't say he's has short arms, but the Niners and his versatility will allow him to play, I think, right away. And if you ask me who had a chance of starting, I think Dominic Purdy has a great chance of starting. Can he play on the right side? I hope so. I believe he did. Had a great Senior Bowl workout. Thought he was one of the top tackles. They had him play guard at Senior Bowl, but I thought he was one of the top offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl. And again, what do the Niners value out of their offensive linemen? What's the key word? Starts with a V. Versatility. That's what they value. Again, most of his starts were at left tackle. But when you go down to his career, and here's what I was talking about as far as age. Like, not every player was a 5-year player in college. Like, he did 2022 to 2023. I mean, not sure what his age is off the top of my head, but he only gave you 2 seasons in college football. So here we go. 1,495 offensive snaps is what he played. But here's the kicker, man. Like, when you look at this kid did not allow any pressures he didn't allow any sacks, in 2 seasons. He only allowed 16 total pressures in 2 seasons. 16 total pressures in 2. See, I'm going to say that one more time. He only allowed 16 total pressures in 2 seasons. This might be an A+ grade. If I had to grade this, how do you not give this particular guy an A+? He didn't give up any sacks, 1 hit, and 15 hurries according to PFF. He only had 5 penalties. I can live with that. 5 in 2 years. I can live with that. If you add them together, you say he's averaging about 2.5 a year. Okay, he took most of his snaps at left tackle. If like I said, if we scroll on over, we do the scroll. You can see that this guy was able to play center, guard, and left tackle. Didn't play on the right side, and he lined up in line as a tight end. Please. You mean to tell me he could catch? Wait. Hold up. Way too much. So he didn't have any targets. He didn't have any receptions, but he did line up in line. All right, I was just double checking, but this could be a weapon you could kind of like utilize down at the goal line. Here's what it is. He's quick off the snap of the ball. He has the ability and the quickness to move. He didn't run. I think he has a 1.86 10-yard split, if I'm not mistaken. Ran a 5-something in the 40. It's not the fastest offensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers, but he's definitely gonna add that mean streak. And when I look at this, man, again, I'm checking. I'm looking, and I'm seeing only freaking, what? Are you serious? That's crazy to me. He only gave up 16 total pressures in those 2 seasons. I don't know. I don't know how you guys value that, but I pretty much think that's a win for me. That's a win. So the Niners probably got themselves an offensive lineman. He doesn't have to start year 1 of his NFL career, but he will be available. I think he's gonna come out there and like woo Chris Forster and some of those coaches, and just allow like those coaches to be like, yo, we need to get this kid on the mother freaking football field. Now the thing is, how well is he gonna play on the right side? How difficult is that to transition from left to right? That's gonna be to be determined. But I think the 49ers may have a solid piece to the future of their offensive line right here. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you looking at all the positivity and stuff like that. I sure am. I am. I'm looking at the positivity. What he did in college, I think was more positive than it was negative. Does he have weaknesses? Absolutely. There's sometimes he might not get at the right pad level when it comes to blocking. Sometimes he might not get the full extension of his arm length when it comes to pass pro. But I think and you can see, and you know what? If you look at his pass blocking grade and his run blocking grade, I mean, that sounds pretty damn good to me. His pass pro grade was a 90.4, and he's a 72.3 run blocker. At the end of the day, I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. This is going to be a solid pick, man. I'm telling you right now, Dominic Purdy, a.k.a. the Punisher, however you want to call him, man, this dude's going to be solid for the San Francisco 49ers. That's a solid pick, man. I got to clap that one up. I gotta clap that one up. Oh. I know you just didn't say that he gave up 16 a game. That's kind of disrespectful, but he's probably right. But that's still disrespectful. You're still disrespectful. All right, man, we're going to get to this year money round. This year's money round was the 4th round. The Niners traded back up, and they had 3 4th-round picks. They made a trade earlier as well where they ended up with an extra 5th-round pick in the draft. Man, the Niners were wheeling and dealing, but we got to start with the 4th-round grades. Let's bring them in. All right, so the Niners went safety here, and this is cool because they had a top visit, not a top visit with him, but they did meet with him at the combine, and I remember them having that meeting, and I'm glad that the stuff came out afterwards, and they said this is one of their best interviews that they had when it came to the San Francisco 49ers. I thought he went pick 124. I didn't know he went pick 125. It says 125 here. Anyway, at the end of the day, Malik Mustafa, my apologies, was saying your name wrong this whole time. I thought it was Malik, but the pronunciation, I believe, is Malik Mustafa. And here's a pick where the Niners said, bump that. This kid is versatile. He can play deep. He can play in a box. So that means he can play free safety. He can play strong safety. All right. Here's what I love about him, though. He's a thumper. He's a thumper. This had to be a John Lynch pick. To me, this had to be a John Lynch pick. In my opinion, this had to be a John Lynch pick. Why? Because he plays like John Lynch. Literally. If you watch him on film, he's a heat-seeking missile like John Lynch. He's a sure tackler like John Lynch. He lays the thump, thump, bump, 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 thump like John Lynch. And he can cover like John Lynch. And look, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't looking at the kid that much. I wasn't checking out safeties like I should have been at the Senior Bowl. But at the Senior Bowl, he was having a week. Yes, he was. He was having a week. All right. So, again, 4 years in college. Last 3 years with Wake Forest is kind of like where he really made that name for himself. You could see, like I said, you can look at the pressures and you can see where they kind of like line him up. He had 4 total pressures in 2023, but throughout his career, 18, 5 sacks, 3 hits, 10 hurries. 5 sacks, 3 hits, 10 hurries. That means he can blitz. That means he has the ability to get to the quarterback from the line of scrimmage, and I love it. Safety blitzing. Dial me up, baby. Safety blitzes. Dial me up. And no Tashawn Gibson as of right now. He's still a free agent. You bring back talent. You got Jair Brown going into his year 2. Talanoa Hufanga going into the final year of his contract, coming off of the ACL injury. Prior to that, all pro safety. They got some talent there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying if Talanoa Hufanga was going to be an all-pro, then this guy's going to be an all-pro, but this guy's going to be an all-pro. I thought Talanoa Hufanga lacked in a couple of areas as far as coverage and speed and poor angles. That's not Malik Mustafa. So I'm not saying he's going to be better, or he is better, but he has the ability to supersede that. So if the Niners decide to say, hey, man, thank you for your time here. We appreciate you. And it's not that the Niners don't look to bring back or re-sign their guys. It's just that players may price themselves out in the market in San Francisco. We know that the Niners can't pay everybody, and there's going to be a team that's going to be willing to pay safeties. There's a possibility Talanoa Hufanga is playing somewhere else in 2025. So let's get the best from our brother Talanoa Hufanga in 2024. Doesn't mean Malik has to come in and he's going to start right away over the 2 young guys that we have there, Hufanga and Brown. But they get another sure shot. They get a tackler, and we're going to go through his tackles, all right? 131 plus 32 assisted tackles, man. That's 163 total tackles throughout his 4 years in college. He only has 32 missed tackles, all right? 52 stops, 4 forced fumbles. 4 forced fumbles. Good golly, oh Molly. 3 interceptions, a total of 6 PBUs. So it's not, he doesn't play the free safety all the time. He's usually playing underneath and the strong safety. But again, here's his snaps. And you can see he has more free safety snaps throughout his collegiate career than he does playing in the slot, and you could get some slot coverage from him, right? 355 snaps in the slot. He also played outside at corner. This kid can potentially be a problem. More of a box safety though. 695 snaps. That's where he plays, but he has the versatility. Every player that the 49ers mopped up in this draft are versatile. And I know we hate that word. I know we want to draft a player to play a position, but I remember hearing our secondary coach and Nick Sorensen got a dog when it comes to Malik. But I remember our secondary coach who deals with the DBs in the secondary said when it comes to the safeties, they have to be able to play safety. That means free and strong. That means deep, cover one, and that means in the box. That means they gotta have the range. Niners aren't drafting a player if they don't have the range. You should smack me, because as much as I loved Kalen Bullock out of USC, he didn't have the range. He would have been a ball hawk for sure, but you couldn't line his light ass up in the box. He would have got crushed. Pink cookies in the plastic bag, getting crushed by a building. To my LL Cool J fans out there, if you guys even know who LL Cool J is, that was a song by LL Cool J. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. So I was going after players that I like and did some misevaluating, but the Niners didn't misevaluate. They got them a dog, and every player that they drafted is literally dog. That's why I said they got more mean. If meaner is a word, cool. But they got more mean in this particular draft. Love this pick right here. Remember the Niners meeting with him early throughout the process of the draft. And the Niners never looked back. The Niners knew who their guy was on day freaking one. That's a solid pick. Woo! Solid pick. All right, man. We get into my favorite pick of the draft. My boy Isaac Guerendo. Because after his combine, I started digging. And after the combine, I put on the film. And after the combine, I said to myself, he the guy. It wasn't because of the 4.33 speed. It was just the simple fact that this kid could do it all. First of all, if he gets ghost out of the backfield, you can't catch him. He's too strong for you to bring down, so it's hard to tackle him. He can play special teams. Like, he was just the versatility piece. But the main thing about him was definitely his speed. Because the one element I thought that the 49ers backfield lacked since Raheem Mostert left was speed. And it's like, dang, like, this is what Kyle Shanahan covets. This is what Bobby Turner, covets. He needs the quick guys to get to the outside. They want to stretch the zone. Why do they want to stretch the zone? They want to weird that defense's asses out. They want to wear them out. They want them running from left to right as much as they can. That way, when they hit you with the B.A.M or the haymaker right up the middle, you're too tired to make the arm tackle. You can't arm tackle this guy. Now, I'm not coming in here saying he going to start day one. He going to beat out Elijah Mitchell. I'm not saying that he's going to do that. I'm just saying they got them a 6'1", 225-pound freaking dog. Ain't no mutts that they didn't draft any mutts. I know a mutt's a dog, but they didn't draft any of them. They literally got a dog out of this kid from Louisville. And here we go, because we got to go look at his stats. For one, he came from the Big Ten, so he started his college career in the Big Ten. So I'm a Big Ten watcher. Yeah, I'm a Michigan fan. I pay close attention to the Big Ten players. Not just Michigan, not just Ohio State, not just Penn State, the Big Ten. Wisconsin, Big Ten. Then he transferred out to Louisville where he had to split reps, so you're not going to get the 1,000 yards, but he got 639 yards from splitting reps with Gerard Jordan and another running back. 3 running backs he had to split reps with. He still finished with 6.1 yards per carry, guys. That's a Kyle Shanahan running back. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-ling-ling-ding. That's a Kyle Shanahan running back. You rush over 5 yards to 6 yards, you are a Kyle Shanahan running back. 8 TDs. He did have a fumble last year, but here we go, baby. 445 yards after contact. Can I get a hit? Hit, boom, bip, with a brother named Tip, and we're ready to flip. 445 yards after contact. This dude was averaging 4.24 yards of rushing attempt after contact. Yo. This dude was a dog. And then that was last year. Total yards after contact, 743.65. So that means every time you hit him, he's getting almost an extra 4 yards. 27 explosive plays. But how many of you, by show of hands or raising of the thumbs, did he just tell me to calm down? All right, why I always got to calm down? What? Just by raising the thumbs. Dude's an explosive runner. He's a home run. He could be a home run hitter. I think that what separates him from some of the other running backs, there were three running backs I really wanted in this draft. They all ran 4.3 speed. It was Jalen Wright, Isaac Guerendo, and Blake Watson. I thought those would be guys that the 49ers needed to bring in to change the outlook and the preface of what the 49ers running backs do, right? Because they love to hit you inside, outside, in. But now you got a 4.3 guy to go outside. And so how many times, by show of hands, do you love to see the home run hitter? The guy that can get the ball and just be out. We haven't really seen it. Christian McCaffrey doesn't have that same speed. He gets he breaks it and then gets caught from behind, right? Isaac Guerendo not getting caught from behind. Isaac Guerendo's not getting caught from behind. I can tell you that. Now with 4.3 speed. And here you go. Zone runner. That's what they ran a lot. 117 plays out of that zone. We talked about outside zone. That's his strength. But don't get it twisted, because when you get around that goal line, that's where he gets into that end zone, and that's why he got a lot of touchdowns there, mainly from that goal line mark. He is powering his way in there. 6'1", 220 freaking 5 pounds. Man, they're going to pound the rock. I think the Niners, as much as I say that they're going to continue to develop and progress in the passing game, you can tell they're going to do that because they drafted 2 wide receivers. We're going to get to the next one. Even though they plan to do that, they're not going away from running the ball. Shout out to Jacob Conway, man. Welcome to the Bay, baby. Isaac Guerendo, welcome to the Bay. Let's get to Jacob Conway. Woo! Look, he was one of my top slot receivers. It was Roman Wilson from Michigan, Jacob Conway, I believe, Taj Washington. These were some of my top. Luke McCaffrey, who went in the 3rd round, I believe. He was my top guy. Like one of my top. Listen, all I'm gonna say is they got another speedster. Another 4.3 guy that can run. So you mean to tell me I believe Ricky Pearsall can run a 4.39. If on a better day, I think he can run a 4.39. So I think essentially he could be a 4.3 guy. But this kid is 4.3 on a football field too, and I seen it because I was watching some plays and I was like, yo, this kid, the way he beats the coverage, he's not only beating the coverage, he's leaving the coverage. Like leaving them, like the separation, like, you know how you guys are mad Debo can't separate from the guy, whatever. This kid can separate from the guys. Like, I don't know what happens to the defensive back, but at some point he clicks that little turbo button, like in Mario Kart, the mushroom button, and pew, he has an extra like 2-3 yards of separation. And this is deep. This ain't in no slot. This is a motherfucker run down the field, beating the top of the defense. I'm like, oh, shoot. The Niners got them another dog out of Arizona. He may be the steal of the draft. This kid right here may be the steal of the draft. And it's not just because of his speed. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a route runner. He can line up at all 3 spots. There's that 5'11" height, 175 pounds. He's quick. He's more quick than he is speed. And at the end of the day, like, look, I know we got Danny Gray. He's a 4.3 guy, right? 4.3. I believe Danny Gray was a 4.3 guy. There's something about his game that's a little bit different, though. They tried to utilize Danny Gray. They tried to get him in the quick screen game. He ain't built like that. These receivers are built because they played in the slot. Danny Gray was always an X receiver, line up outside, burn over the top of the defense. So if that's what you're looking to do every single game, Danny Gray will get you that. Danny Gray will leave his defenders in coverage. I believe it. And we've seen it. We've seen it in preseason games. We haven't seen it on a game that counts. That's what Danny Gray does. So let's not downgrade or Danny Gray. Let's not play him down. But I don't know if that's what Kyle Shanahan wants anymore. Kyle Shanahan is all about efficiency until it's time to take the big play. And all these receivers, in my opinion, may be better blockers. 48.9 blocking from him and last year. Let's go check out his stats. He started at UTEP, finished at Arizona. All right. He finished with, he only had what? Oh, this is I'm like, what? That ain't right. That's rushing. And he could rush on top of that. Go figure, right? So Kyle Shanahan got another wide receiver that can line up as the Z. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. I'm like, what? All right, so 479 targets, 306 receptions for a total in 5 seasons, 4,328 yards. But that number, that yards per reception, that yards per reception, 14.1, 31 total touchdowns. He had 11 just last year. But before 2023, he had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons too, by the way. Just wanted to point that out there. But then you can see, man, he's a slot monster. There it is, man. You're not going to always utilize him wide out, but I think the fact that you would have the ability to use him wide is the kicker, right? Because you're not going to expect this little kid to line up wide, and then next thing you know, Brock's going to see him in man coverage, and he's going to burn that coverage, and Brock is just chucking it, throwing it down the field. Next thing you know, he's beating his guy, and we've seen our receivers beat their guys deep numerous times last year. I love it. But slot monster, and then there's the yakety yak, don't come back. 1,936 of those yards are from yak. 6.3 yards per reception for the yak. 33 total drops. He does have a six drops last season. He does have a lot of drops. Got to work on his drops, in my opinion. But I think this kid can possibly be like the steal of the draft, man. Look at those first downs, man. That's what he does, man. 196 first downs. This kid is going to be, in my opinion, a problem. So I thought Ricky Pearsall was going to be the slot guy, but the Niners look like they went and got 2 slot receivers that can line up outside and win in coverage one-on-one. That's the kicker right there. So I got to clap it up for Jacob Collins. Welcome to the Bay, baby! All right, we're almost done. We're almost done breaking these down. We got to look at Jared Kingston, offensive lineman or guard from USC, 6'4", 305. Niners drafted him in the 6th round, so they went 2 offensive linemen, like I've been predicting. Sometimes, I mean, like the Niners, I would do some mock drafts, and the Niners I would get like 3. There was a time I think I did 4. The Niners were never going to draft 4, but it was just some players that were available. I thought that would fit the Niners well. But this is another kid that can come in and give you some versatility on that right side. All right, and he's had at least 1 rep at left tackle. But again, started at Washington State, did 4 years there, transferred to USC, finished out his collegiate career. And so we got to look at the pressures because he's given up 49 total pressures. Last year he gave up 4 sacks. That's a lot. That's a lot for me. And so we'll see. We'll see how he pans out. I'm curious to know if one of those sacks was from him being a left tackle. But you can see he's played all over that offensive line except for that center spot. So he can go from left to left guard. And the pick screams versatility when it comes to Jared Kingston. And, you know, I don't like he had. So 2 things that red flag me, but maybe not the Niners because the Niners see different things. But the 2 things that would have red flagged me were the sacks, not the pressures, but the sacks and the penalties. And I see he was responsible for 5 penalties last year, total of 10 total though. So that means he's a disciplined kid. But last year they were just getting the best of him. But look where he had to line up. He had to play left tackle, right guard, right tackle. There's no consistency there for him. Look at where he was when he had to play left tackle. And look at where in Washington State he was a left tackle. He gave up 0 sacks. See, that's what's important. I think the switching of the guard or the switching of the position is key. When he had to play left guard, he gave up only 2 sacks. When he had to play, total of 4 sacks. So at the left guard spot, he only gave up 4 sacks. Total, he gave up 4 sacks when he had to switch to the right side. So I wonder if that transition is kind of like what allowed him to not really be up to par when it came to protecting his QB. That's something that, you just got to kind of look back. But big guy, another mean guy. He got mean up front again. Another quick guy. I think is going to be able to get out there with a nice 10-yard split. When it comes to running the ball, pulling, and things like that. And so the Niners got another versatile piece. Now, a lot of people be like, why him? There's other guys available, blah, 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 blah. Guys, look at versatility. I think that's most important, especially when it comes to the 49ers offensive line, right? It comes to that. Now, I see my man Boats says his development was late. And so look, this could be a piece that the Niners bring in to sit here and try to develop, right? And they sit there and develop. We saw what they did with Nick Zakelj. Okay, we've seen what they did with Nick Zakelj. He says they also train as at center, just college, just no reps. So there's a possibility he has some reps, at there. But we'll see what happens. Brian Sadler, what's going on, baby? Says, yo, WayneBreezie, what's good? 49er faithful member for life. Brian, what's going on, family? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you, bro. And this is why he was drafted right there, baby. It's all about the outside zone. I think their guy, if the Niners would have drafted Roger Rosengarten, I'm curious to know if they would have went this way. In this particular type of a player, but I think when you put Roger and you put Dominic Puni and Jarrett Kingston together, I think you get the Roger Rosengarten. Not saying Roger Rosengarten would have been great, but I think he was like the perfect, got to do double quotes, perfect fit for the system. So there's that possibility. And so outside zone, I'm telling y'all gotta trust sometimes. Trust the words that come out of my mouth. Outside zone needs to be brought back. It never left, but when your tight end during the presser comes out and states what happened to the outside zone, why are we not running the ball to the outside? Like that, let me know that there's a problem going on with the 49ers offense. Like it was stagnant. Now, granted, the 49ers offense scored a lot of points. The 49ers offense had a bunch of players. Just imagine if that outside zone was what it was. Imagine how much more that offense would have done in 2023. It would have just been dynamic. All right, now we got to close this up with Tatum Bethune, okay? All right, so Tatum Bethune, between him and Jacob Cowing, these are going to be the steal of the draft. I don't see how. Look, listen. You got to watch his film. You got to. If you can't watch the film, just go watch some highlights. You got to watch him. Now, are there areas where he's going to struggle? For sure. But what are the Niners getting out of Tatum Bethune? 2 things off the top of my head. Versatility. All right. And to me, a tackler. And if I got to add another one, sideline speed. He can run from sideline to sideline and don't skip a beat. I wonder who that sounds like on this roster. Doesn't that sound like a player we have on this roster that will be a free agent next year? It just does. I call him Big Play Dre. You call him Big Play Dre. I'm not saying he replaces Dre Greenlaw, and I'm not saying he starts right away. He's gonna have to come in and work his way up. He's the last pick of the draft, and he's gonna have to come in and work his way up. But again, system. We talk about system fit. 6'1", 230. We're talking about system fit. Man, if he can give me just a fraction of what Dre Greenlaw did, you know what I'm saying? Remember, Dre Greenlaw was a 5th round pick. It's only 2 rounds, later. And I feel like they got a guy that can play like Dre Greenlaw in this draft. Like, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong. The Niners have to replenish players. and positions. And if the Niners have a certain type, they look to draft players that fit their type. I don't mean to go into that spiel, but here it is, man. Middle linebacker, weak side linebacker. Who was that? It's Dre Greenlaw. Where's Dre Greenlaw play? Weak side. Why? Because Fred Warner's the Mike. Fred Warner's out. Who becomes the Mike? Dre Greenlaw. So, like, this is what I'm getting from him. Again, he started his first 3 years was at University of Central Florida, and then he transferred to Florida State for his last 2 years. You can see the amount of snaps that he played, but look at these pressures, man. So it's not it's he can get to the quarterback. I think he's pressuring the quarterback. As far as hitting home, that's another question. But didn't have any sacks in 2023, but his total sacks are 11, so he can't finish. He can't get to the quarterback. All right, but you know what he's doing every year? You know what he did? He hit the quarterback, which is just as effective. It's just as effective, okay? Just as effective. He's forcing the quarterback to make erratic throws. He's hurrying him, and he has a batted down pass. But here we go with the tackles. 51 total missed tackles, but look how many tackles he got. Like 300, and I can't even do the math off the top of my head. Let's see, you got 6 plus the 3, that's the 9. You got 389 tackles. Gosh, good dog. This kid is a tackler. Yeah, I broke it down phonetically. Tackler. He's a tackler. Look at him. Look at him. Only 51 missed tackles, 132 stops, 3 forced fumbles made. He's a coverage guy because he plays on the weak side. I don't know what you want from this dude. He's only responsible for a couple of TDs, but he has 3 interceptions. He has 4 PBUs, only 5 total career penalties. Here's the difference between him and Dre Greenlaw is he's not body slamming you and getting you 15 yards. It's the difference. But we'll see what happens. I think I really like this pick. I'm not going to stunt. I think this may be the steal of the draft, but it's between him and Jacob Cowing for me. I'm torn between the two. Actually, you know what? I'll do a poll question, and I'm going to give you those two. And between those two, who is the steal of the draft? Just between those two. Don't give me no more. I'm going to go 4th round pick, Jacob Cowing, wide receiver, or 7th round pick, Tatum Bethune, linebacker. Let me know what you guys think. All right, go ahead and do that little poll question. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. I hope I spelled everything right because, you know, when I'm typing on the fly, I spell stuff wrong. All right, so just a quick thing. Those are the draft selections for the 2023 San Francisco 49ers. Let's give them all a round of a freaking applause. I thought the Niners did their thing. I did. I thought the Niners, they addressed the draft the way they saw fit. Right? They found the players and the personnel to fit their personnel. They found those type of players. I thought the Niners did exactly what they needed to do. And I can't wait to see these players come out. I do want to talk about the UDFAs really quickly and just give you a list of the players that will be attending the rookie minicamp as of so far. All right. So the UDFAs. All right. We got cornerback Tanner Mordecai out of Wisconsin, center Drake Nugent out of Michigan, running back Cody Schrader out of Mizzou, wide receiver Tariq Owens out of Missouri State, defensive tackle Evan Anderson out of Florida Atlantic University, tight end Mason Pline out of Furman, offensive line Brayson Mays out of Southern Miss. So they were looking at Southern Mississippi. I just wanted to put that up there. It just wasn't at Frank Gore Jr. Or maybe they were and they saw him. And then defensive back Jalen Mahoney out of Vanderbilt. Now, star these 3 names. Please, star these 3 names. My top 3 undrafted free agents to keep an eye on. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you 4 names. Let's see if I can get 5. I'll give you 5 names. My apologies. My top 5 undrafted free agents. I'm doing it live on the daggone show, so don't mind me. And it doesn't mean that I don't think all these players have an opportunity, but, you know, it's going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough. So I'm going to tell you who my top 5 are. All right, number 1, cornerback Tanner Mordecai out of Wisconsin. I know that the Niners signed two free agents. They brought back Brandon Allen, and then they signed Josh Dobbs. And I thought they might draft a quarterback, but they found a guy that is. You want speed? This dude, didn't he's fast. They got a quarterback with some speed. I'm just curious to see what he'll come in here and do. Can he beat out Brandon Allen? Can he beat out the free agent Josh Dobbs? Like, it's gonna be interesting. But Tanner Mordecai, center Drake Nugent out of Michigan. I thought we should have drafted him. The Niners thought different. I've mocked him in several mock drafts. I said if we didn't go with certain types of certain centers, he fits. If you guys don't remember, watch those episodes. He fits the zone that we try to run. He's also good when it comes to power and gapping, and he's a smart dude. And Michigan's offensive line was the best offensive line. He might be the steal of the undrafted free agents. He may be the one. Competition is a little different. He's got to beat out Jake Brendo. Ben Barch, I believe, is another guy. Nick Zakel. He's got a long road. These guys got the long road. Running back Cody Schrader. I know our running back room is tight. Cody Schrader, I don't care about his athletic scores. Probably didn't participate in some events due to whatever. But I think Cody Schrader is a weapon. I think the Niners value weapons. And I think he can be a sure weapon for the 49ers. And then wide receiver Tariq Owens, son of former NFL 49ers legend Terrell Owens. He probably had the best workout for the San Francisco 49ers. Unfortunately, he didn't do enough, I thought, at Missouri State to get drafted by the Niners. But he did enough to stay on the Niners' radar, and they offered him an undrafted free agent contract. Now he's still considered, like, you know, another team can sign him at any given time if he makes that practice squad, but they're going to bring him in or whatever. So I'm hoping he finds a way up here and beats out some of these receivers. We got a receiving room, guys. I can tell you that right now is going to be tough. And defensive tackle, the mother frickin' guy that I think can play from 0 to 7 technique. I think this guy can be a monster in the middle. Evan Anderson out of Florida Atlantic. He went undrafted. Niners did have a top visit with him, as well as Tariq Owens. I'm going to be super intrigued to see what he comes out and does. Can he beat out like a Kalia Davis? Can he beat out some of these guys that have roster spots that are on the team? That's to be seen. But I'm super excited. I'm super duper excited, man. So guys, man, I hope you had a great time rocking with your boy Breezy, man. I appreciate you. We'll be back Wednesday. I'm going to try to have a special guest to help me do some grading for the 49ers on this, and we'll look forward and give you our updates. We'll probably break down those rookies that are going to be attending the rookie mini camp. Again, here are the 6. Keontae Lusk out of Coastal Carolina, Tim Patrick Jr., wide receiver out of Southern Utah. If I have him written down like I'm old school. Quarterback Mitch Davidson out of Youngstown State. Wide receiver Monroe Young out of Cali. All right. And I have my notes because he's a slot guy. I just don't want to break it down right now. I'll break it down on Wednesday. I'll go through these on Wednesday, especially if more get added to the list. Cornerback Ryan Poole out of William and Mary. He's an intriguing one. All right. And then Derek, I think it's Slywicka out of Ithaca. Just interesting about him, because I got to do more research, but he's 6'3", 215, and this motherfucker out of his college career had 30 pass deflections. I'm just curious. 11 interceptions. So you mean to tell me he's a ball hawk and you can't pass on him? So wait. He's a ball hawk. I don't see how he don't. If he got to show up at this workout, I need them to test him and show him up. Because I want a 6'3" DB on this roster. Just keep an eye on these guys. I'm just like, oh shoot. All right, now 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the B.A.M show will be here. All right, make sure you guys check that out. Love you guys, man. Stay up. I hope you guys had a good time. Like this joint, man. Don't forget to hit that like button. Stay faithful. Until the next time, we out. Peace. Peace.
I be sipping gold bar whiskey on the rocks and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 4-9 preacher.